Fighters.
Welcome to this special edition of your #1 security program, Crime Fighters, the Police and You. In a matter of weeks, Nigerians will be going to the polls to elect their leaders for the next 4 years. The polity is already getting charged with campaigns, intrigues, and serious electoral activities. But beyond all these intrigues and campaigns lies the most important thing, which is the security. How is the police dressing up for this important democratic exercise? Well, we are in Coast City, Enugu State, the political capital of Eastern Nigeria, and we are meeting with a man who is at the helm of affairs, ensuring that this state is peaceful. We're meeting with the Commissioner of Police in charge of Enugu State Police Command, CP Muhammad Adamu. So we are glad to have you on Crime Fighters.
Thank you for having me.
Before we go straight into the election matters, there's been reports in some section of the media alleging your complicity in a land deal involving one Friday in Naji. We have equally seen your response and press releases to that effect, but for record purpose, sir, would you tell us the true situation, your own side of this story?
As you know, in every society, you have people that like justice and some people that don't like justice. And if you are fighting injustice, if you don't take care, the injustice will also come up to fight you. It was really surprising, really surprising for me to have read in one of the major newspapers that allegation. All that I can say is that land is not a movable property, so you can't steal it. Land, nobody can claim land if he doesn't show title. I have no interest in any land. I don't have any title on any land, and I have not confiscated any land. If you say that your land is there, it has been confiscated, I think you need to wait and see when somebody will come and take it, or show documentation to show that it is his. All that I know is that there are two families that are reporting themselves here and there to the police because they have, long period of land dispute between the two families. There are people they try to use the police, and police stand by the truth. Now they go about being frustrated, they go about framing people here and there, and this is a good example of frame-up.
Where is the petitioner at the moment? Is any of them in custody?
No, police is investigating. They enforce all the groups.
Let's look at the issue of election. Election is around the corner, and Nigerians have equally expressed concern over our readiness to conduct the exercise. Looking at the issue of security, tell us how prepared this command is to take part in next month's general elections.
We've gotten ourselves prepared long time in view of the fact that from the political timetable we know that there's going to be election. As I'm talking to you, we're still continuing the processes of preparation, that is readjusting all our strategies. We have so far trained our rank and file in physical training and classroom training. Physical training, the use of batons, riot exercises, crowd control, protection of VIPs, all in preparation for the election. The senior officers who are supposed to supervise the election, we've already done about 3 workshops where we brought the police, the INEC staff, the politicians, and some lawyer stakeholders. They came and we had a workshop where they spoke on the role of police in a free and fair and credible election. And it was really, really successful.
Did you take into consideration post-election? Should anything happen after the election, do you take that into consideration in the course of your workshops and trainings?
Yes, it was a kind of a holistic approach in the training. What our expectation before the election, our expectation during the election, and our expectation after the election. So in an event after the election, before the result is announced, we've already plan our strategy. You know, security is a continuous process. As we deploy, we will not stand down until everywhere is calm and quiet.
CP sir, many state commands have released a statistical data on crime rates in various commands. Lagos State Command released theirs recently and contrasting it with that of 2013. Cases of armed robbery, bank robbery, kidnapping, you're on the high side. The Force Headquarters equally released such data. How would you assess crime rates in Enugu State?
If you looked at the crime statistics produced by the Force Headquarters, it is for all the states, all the commands. We would have seen that of Enugu to be very, very low. The crime rate here is very low. When we came in, we made the crime at a lower level, but we managed to bring it further lower down to the extent that you hardly hear of kidnapping in Enugu State. You hardly hear of robbery in Enugu State. You hardly hear of those major crimes like rape and murder, except this petty stealing, housebreaking. Those are those things that we hear. To the extent that during the Christmas and New Year, we had the events and it went crime-free. No single case was reported of any crime. To the extent that we are receiving phone calls from members of the public just thanking us, saying we thank you, the Nigeria police, Enugu State is extremely quiet, we are happy, we are moving in the night, we are doing our Christmas and New Year without a single incident. As a result of help from God and the efforts made in reducing the crime rate in the state. So if you compare how it was last year and how it is today, you know that crime rate within the state is near zero. It has gone down tremendously.
What is the trend here? I mean, what kind of crime do you find common in this command?
As I told you, in the past, it has been this kidnapping, robbery, and murder. But now, they have gone. Only that you hear cases of these students moving from one shop or the other, or jumping people's houses, housebreaking, you take telephone and run away. Those are the petty crimes that we're having within the state now.
Let's look at terrorism and national security. There's this fear on the capacity of the security agencies to contain insecurity in this country. Many have come to say that the police and other security forces have failed. What is your opinion on this?
Any individual in this country that tells you that security agencies have failed to protect this country is not being sincere. Because when you talk of security, what are you talking about? Protection of lives and property, providing ability for people to move about without molestation. You are now in Enugu. Have you been molested by anybody? Have you been confronted by anybody? It's because of the security that prevails, because security agencies are there to enforce the law. What is happening up north, northeastern part of the country, is a different ball game altogether. It is nothing but act of insurgency, terrorism, and these people are not just ordinary criminals. These are sophisticated, well-trained criminals that are ready to confront anybody with sophisticated weapons, getting beyond what ordinary policemen are using. Despite that, they are being contained by the same security agencies in the country. You could see that those areas we are talking about, there you still find policemen are still there in the northeastern part of the country. Other security agencies are still there fighting the insurgents. And they are there fighting them so as to curtail their activities and even prevent them completely. But for anybody to say that security agencies have failed in this country, they are not really sincere.
I just want to know if we have adequate laws to tackle terrorism in this country.
We have adequate laws to tackle terrorism. It exists, it has been enacted by the National Assembly and it's in force. And people arrested have been prosecuted now.
Why terrorism and insurgency are on the high side for time now? As a veteran police officer, let's have your holistic. Why do people go into crime?
And there are various reasons on why people go into crime. Maybe they are not adequately taken care of within the system. Probably they have gotten all it takes for them to fix themselves in the society, but the opportunity is not there. They got up in the morning, they found out that they have nowhere to go, no work to do, and they need to feed themselves. And if the means of feeding themselves is not there, the next thing is to find a way of antagonizing the system, the existing system, which makes them deviant, and then they'll go and start committing crime. And when you talk of terrorists, sometimes it's not because they like job to do, or they like food, or they like money to keep themselves ongoing. Because of some ideologies, they will use the resources they have to further the ideologies that they have, so as to see how they can overturn the system for their ideologies to be practiced. So there are many things that can lead to an act of terrorism.
What should be the role of the society and the family in curbing crime?
The role of the family is paramount, because anybody that comes up from a family, such a person will be trained based on the morals of that family. If the training within the family is bad, you grow up as a bad person. If the training is good, you grow up as a good person. It is the family that makes up the society. So every family should be able to exist on a very good moral platform. Whether you are a Christian or a Muslim, your religion teaches morals. And we grow up, we go to school, the teachers have a role also to play in teaching the students the good things on how to live in a society, how to live with your neighbor, and that will lead to also good behavior that will mold. So it starts from home, then to schools, then to our workplaces.
Okay, let me take you back to the forthcoming general elections. What is your message to residents of Enugu State as election approaches?
We have done jingles before, telling the members of the public, especially the electorate, what is expected of them in order to have free and fair and credible election. We don't want, they should not allow their children to be used as touts. We advise that on the election day, everybody that has voter's card should go to his polling unit and cast his vote, and then go back to his house and remain there until the result is announced. We advise that nobody should move from one polling unit to another, because on that day we will not allow that. And that when the result is announced, we advise people to remain calm. Even if it favors you or not, you accept it the way it is. So our advice always to the members of the public during this election is that everybody should conduct himself in an orderly manner, so that you go and exercise your civil responsibility on the election day. You vote, after voting, go back home and wait for the result to be announced. We will never tolerate any violence during the election. We will never tolerate anybody coming to cause any problem, no matter your position. We will never allow policemen to be moving with politicians from one point to the other. We will never allow policemen carry arms to the polling units. All these ones, members of the public have been told, and then they have to abide by it.
What are your expectations from residents how can the public assist the police to do their job better?
You can never do policing very well and succeed without the participation of the members of the public. They must be committed in securing the society itself. Policing shouldn't be left only to people wearing uniform. That's why within various societies you will see some quasi-security organizations coming up so as to assist in fighting crime within their local areas. Where in some places we have vigilante group, in some places we have neighborhood watch, in some places they give them different names. Within the local areas they have in preventing crime and identifying those that committed crime and then hand them over to the police. The members of the society, it is their role also to be giving information to security agencies whenever a crime is about to be committed so as to prevent it, or when it has been committed to give the information to identify and arrest and prosecute the offenders. The role of the society in fighting crime is very, very important. If we remove them from participation in crime fighting, we will fail, because crimes are committed within the society. A crime can be committed within your house, a policeman will not be there. But if within that house you are expected to give information to the police or report to the police, this crime has been committed. So that is when the police would know that the crime has been committed, and they will come there and do their work.
And your message to the politicians?
We are calling on them to make sure that they advise their followers to conduct themselves in an orderly manner, not to be attacking their opponents, not to be used attacking electoral officers, not to be used to cause confusion in an area where they feel that they don't have support. And they themselves, politicians, day of the election, you go and cast your vote early in your polling booth and go back to your residence and stay. Your agents are everywhere within the polling units. They will protect your interests.
Do you have a message for the press, the media?
My advice to members of the press is that they should try to cover every nooks and crannies of the country during the election so as to see what is happening tape, but never to announce the result before time, because if we do that, it will cause hell of a problem.
Right, sir, is there any other information you would want to share with the public?
We'd like to say that we thank the good people of Enugu State for cooperating with us during this period, and also thank the government of Enugu State for supporting us in achieving the feat we have achieved, because all the necessary things we requested that will enable us fight crime, they provided it. That's why we have this almost near zero crime-free state. And we thank the Inspector General of Police and his management team for giving us the enabling environment without any tension for us to perform our duties. That attitude has brought out the courage in most of us to be decisive in policing, and result is being achieved because there is no much interference from the headquarters.
Thank you very much, sir, for speaking with Crime Fighters, the police, and you.
Thank you for coming.
Crime Fighters, the #1 security program on television.